All right, Michael, my man, how we doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
We are blessed. As always, we love having baseball guys on. Another Arkansas stud here with us. So, before we get into, your story, and really diving deep into, your college, career, I gotta know, man. We ask all the guys that come on, what are they a movie guy, and is baseball movies your thing? If so, what is your go-to baseball movie?
Uh, I wouldn't say much of a movie guy. I gotta be pretty bored to kind of sit down just for a while and watch one. But if I had to go with the baseball movie, I'd probably say Moneyball. I've probably seen it two or three times, and I've liked it every time. So
It's an interesting movie. It takes you through the business and it's more of a smart guys baseball movie, not so
mhm.
much a Jim or a Randy type movie, you know. I kid, but
I love the Sandlot. Don't joke on me, man.
There you go.
Sandlot's a good one. But Moneyball is just in a different realm of baseball movie, but a good one nonetheless.
hmm
Um, we didn't bring you on to talk about movies. We brought you on here to talk about you. So let's get down to it, man. Tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you grew up.
So I'm from a small town in Warren, Ohio. I went to Champion High School. I graduated with about, I think it was 120 in my class, so it was pretty small. Not a whole lot of exposure to college scouts or anything like that, other than the little travel ball that I played. Um, Actually, Kent was my first offer, so we'll get into that. But yeah, I kind of just accepted my first offer, and yeah, grew up in a really small town.
So, your dad, he played pro ball a little bit. Tell me a little bit about his story. And, you said you grew up in a small town. Was your dad like the guy in that town?
He's not well. So he grew up in Ohio. It was actually called Grand Valley. It was about 20 minutes down the road. So he's more of the guy in that location than he is a champion. But yeah, he coached us growing up until high school, and actually helped out my freshman year a little bit. But yeah, he played 8 years, bounced around with the Yankees, Twins, and Mets, and crossed paths with some pretty cool guys. He was actually Andy Pettit's roommate for a while. Played with Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, so he's got some pretty cool stories.
Nice, nice. So, was your dad your favorite player growing up?
Yeah, so I never really got. I don't think I ever saw him play professionally. But the last thing I really remember growing up of watching him actually play was slow pitch softball. So I have some pretty fun memories there. But yeah, I mean, people ask me all the time what my favorite team is, and it's kind of hard not to say the Yankees just because they drafted him out of high school.
So, so then obviously you don't get a chance to see your dad, play so much growing up, but who were you a fan of, like, of the game? Got like who are you watching as many times as you can? Who's your favorite player then?
So when I was younger, I would always say Derek Jeter. I actually got a poster on him in my room at home. But getting older a little bit, I kind of started zoning in on my position. So I'm a big fan of Salvador Perez and JT Realmuto. I've actually done a lot of studying on Realmuto and just kind of try to model a lot of my catching game around him. But yeah, those are definitely my main three for sure.
Nice. I mean, can't beat those three. Obviously, um, three guys that are amazing at the position. But was baseball the only sport that you played growing up, or were you kind of a multi-sport guy?
No, I played. So prior to high school, nobody really believes this, but one of my favorite sports was soccer. I loved it growing up and played a lot actually. Then when I got to high school, it was just basketball and baseball. So I had a lot of fun playing basketball, but baseball was pretty much year round.
Michael, can I
Here,
tell you,
here,
man?
here we go
No,
again.
no. Before we get
Here
to
we go.
basketball, Daniel, we're going to address soccer because
Mhm.
I love soccer, Michael. But Daniel cannot get past the fact that there are ties, man. Like, how
Yeah,
do I can't get him to even? He went and watched one guest of ours go play. She played for University of Memphis. She came down there to Florida to play, but he won't watch it just because of the tie, man. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help him.
yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. I personally don't like it either, but it's it's part of it. You kind of just get used to it over time. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. I don't like the ties and anything.
All right, so we got to address the basketball part now because
hmm
you, like many of your baseball guys that come on this show, they immediately tell me, yeah, when I was, growing up, I play basketball. I could hoop. But
Mhm.
really, could you play basketball?
Yeah, I was all right. Like I said, it was a pretty small high school. We were Division III in just about every sport, but I got that 1,000 point mark. I was a shooter, so I think I had like right around 1,100 points, and I would say probably between 800 and 900 of them were from 3 pointers. So I was the shooter guy.
Could, can you shoot it now?
Yeah, I still got a little bit, not as good, but a little bit.
I actually believe him, Daniel, relative to the other guest.
Yeah, I mean, he's not as hey, let me tell you about this one time. He's very like humble brag, like low key. Yeah, I was a 1,000 point scorer, but no big deal. Little things like that. But
Small
uh,
school.
yeah, I'm sure you could probably still hoop a little bit right now.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about high school. So you're playing soccer, baseball, basketball. Eventually, you get to high school. You go, you know what? Let me narrow this down to basketball and baseball. Um, Being in Ohio, I'm sure playing multiple sports, is something that you probably got to do as far as the seasons go.
Mhm.
But do you feel like playing multiple sports helped you or hindered you in comparison to probably some of the guys that that could play baseball year round?
Yeah, I absolutely think it helped. Especially with the soccer thing. I think footwork has really helped me. So when I was in high school, I actually didn't start catching until senior year of high school. So I played a lot of shortstop and I was pitcher closer kind of deal. But yeah, I think footwork definitely helped with that. Whether it's turning double plays at shortstop or footwork at catching when I'm throwing to second base or anything like that, I definitely think it carried over. Sure.
Yeah, it's very, I think one of the things that's very overrated,
Mhm.
when people start parents especially when they start saying, well, my kid needs a hitting coach, they need a fielding coach, they need a pitching coach, they need all these things. I don't have time to do all these other sports. But I believe, like you believe, is that all the other sports help you build the
Yep.
skills to be better. And really, just you don't even realize it until you start.
Mhm.
Your footwork probably just was
Yep.
great all of a sudden, and you're like,
Yep.
well, what do I attribute that to? Your reflex time, you're able to cut, move, and do different things a lot faster than the other guys.
Mhm.
um, but in high school, just to throw out some of the stats, your team won state your senior season. You were named all league, all region, all state, all world, all everything during your senior season. You were named district player of the year, named Vindicator Athlete of the Year during your senior season, named All League in baseball for 4 years at Champion. You hold the high school records in batting average and career RBIs. Safe to say that you were a stud, and probably you enjoyed a lot of time at Champion High School, I would imagine.
Yeah, so that's still one of my best baseball memories to this day. That was the first ever state title for baseball, and my sister actually played softball there too. So one of my favorite memories was we actually won the state title, and she got a chance to see it, and then drove back a couple hours, and then she had to play in her state final game. So we got the team bus and we drove straight to her game and we walked in carrying the trophy and the place just kind of went nuts. So it was a really cool experience.
Did they win it?
Yeah, they did.
Man.
Wow,
Yeah.
man, what?
Now I got to ask the question: Who was better, you or her?
Oh, it was definitely her. She lit it up in high school. She was Gatorade Player of the Year senior year. She had a ton of Division I offers. So she definitely beat me in that category. Fun fact, this was the first year I ever beat her in home runs for a season, but we also played about 15 more games. So she said it doesn't count, but
She let you know that, didn't she?
yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
He's unique again. Like I actually believe he can hoop, and then he actually came on here and said a family member. Usually everybody's just quick and arrogant and says, "Of course it's me," but no, Mike passed it over.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
sure family dinners were really fun to be at. Having to hear that all the time.
Yeah. A little competitive for sure.
Then Dad throws a trump card. I'm a Yankee dude. Whatever.
Yeah. Can't compete with that.
He's like, you ever heard of Mariano Rivera? Yeah, there you go. So, all right, man, you have an amazing senior season. Well, you're actually your entire career at Champion was awesome. But when did you start getting on college's radar, and when did you go, this baseball thing might can carry me to the next level?
Yeah. It's kind of a wild story. So I committed to Kent my freshman year of high school. So the story leading up to that is what's a little bit wild. I went to I don't even remember the school's name. I went to a camp, and prior to that, I had a summer ball coach when I was like 13 or 14. He caught in the big leagues for a while, and he gave me my first set of used Wilson gear. And I was still a shortstop at the time. He said, "Hey, you're going to catch at the next level." And I thought he was crazy because I didn't even have catcher's mitt. So I go to that camp I was telling you about, and you got to write down two positions that you play. So I had the catcher's gear with me. I just wrote down shortstop and catcher. So we're going through the camp, and they do their little catcher showcase. So I throw on the gear for the first time, and I do some pop times at second base and put up a good number. So a scout from, I think it was the assistant coach at the time at Kent, saw me and put those numbers up at that camp, and they invited me to their invite only camp. So a couple weeks down the road, I go to that camp. Same situation. I have shortstop and catcher written down. And after the camp was over, they had their little inner squad, because these are all invite only kids, and they're trying to figure out who can play and who can't. So naturally, they got me catching. Never caught in a game in my whole life. That camp was just a coach throwing to me, and I was doing pop times. So first time ever catching in a game. Pitcher comes in super wild. I think he walked the guy on 4 pitches. I had 2 fastballs. It wasn't going well. So the guy that he walked was actually being recruited for speed to Kent. So it was like their fast guy they were trying to get. So he steals on the first pitch, and I throw him out by like 5 feet or something crazy. So they stopped the scrimmage, send that kid back to first base, and said, "Do that again." So I throw him out again. And they stopped the game, pulled me out, and said, "We're going to offer you." And I had to kind of break it down for him, be like, "Hey, I've never caught before," and all this stuff. And they said, "Yeah, that's fine. Just bring the arm." So I actually committed to Kent as a catcher closer. It would have been freshman summer going into sophomore year of high school.
So an interesting note to you talking about that and put that other position. All year, me and Randy were watching Tennessee games, and they kept talking about how Evan Russell was a catcher in high school. And Evan only caught 5 innings, but what he did do was go to multiple camps in which he did the catcher as the second position. And so he had all those times, just like you were talking about. And so there was this assumption, no different than you just said. You hadn't done any catching, but people thought he had. And so all year people kept saying he's catching. So a similar story. That was pretty interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's kind of amazing though, man. You just you have this belief in yourself that, I mean, obviously you got to believe that you can do it, because they're saying, hey, just trust me, you're going to be projected as a catcher at the next level. And then lo and behold, like, you start showing flashes, and then all of a sudden, what was the faces like on those coaches when you told them that you had never caught before?
It was just kind of shocked. They didn't really. I think it was more of me being nervous talking to a college coach when I was like 15 years old than anything. They're like, "Yeah, we don't care. Just bring the arm with you." And I was like, "All right." I mean, at the time, I didn't really know much about college baseball. Like, I wouldn't even have been able to tell you that Arkansas was good at the time. I was very clueless. I knew Kent was close to my house. They had a brand new, nice turf field, and it was just. I heard that. I think they told me at the time that they went to the World Series in 2012. So I was like, "Oh, they must be pretty good then." So they gave me 2 weeks, and I committed right away.
So at that point, what happens for the rest of your high school career until you go there? Are you catching, or are you just
So
are you on
actually,
the bump? Like
yeah,
where are you?
yeah, I stayed at shortstop. I didn't start catching until my last year. The year we won state was my first full year of catching. So even though like I was trying to get behind the plate, but we didn't have a shortstop, and we had a good enough catcher to kind of go with it. So I just continued to play at shortstop, and I would come in for the 6th and 7th inning and throw 18 fastballs, and that was it.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess the answer is really that, why was it Kent State that you committed to? And I'm assuming, based on what you said, they were the first people to give you an opportunity, believe in you, and they thought that you had this special, ability early,
Mhm.
and obviously they were 100% right about that.
Yeah. I don't want to say it's a regret, but the only thing I do regret is committing so early, man. I wasn't really familiar with how the whole recruiting process worked. I didn't know who was good at the time. I just wish I kind of would have waited a year or two just to see who kind of reached out or not. But yeah, I just took that opportunity and ran with it.
So, Michael, speaking of Kent State, we like to do a little research here, and athletics have been great. You said they went to the World Series in 2012. That's all fine and good. But some of the alumni here, as far as actors, we got Drew Carey, Arsenio Hall, Steve Harvey, Michael Keaton. I mean, this is some notable alumni.
Batman went to Kent State.
Batman went to Kent State. Don King.
Take that for data.
I mean, this is some high level stuff here, man. So I got to add, obviously you did commit very early. You would call it a regret, but what are your first day on campus as you're going to go there? What are the emotions? What's the feeling like first day there?
Oh man, I was at the time freshman year. I was a homebody, man. I was pretty sad about leaving home, but I mean, once you're there for a little bit and you realize how much fun it's going to be, and I was only 45 minutes from home, so I could really go home whenever I wanted to. But I was excited, nervous, but yeah, pretty emotional the whole time.
No, I think that's pretty normal. So freshman year, 29 appearances, hit 280. Obviously, sophomore year is when things started to get hot for you. You go into your sophomore year. What did you learn your freshman year that you didn't have before you got to Kent State?
Mainly a couple things. One was trusting myself, just kind of keep doing what I was doing just to have success at the plate. Some minor tweaks were trying to be made here and there, and it was getting in my head a little bit. It wasn't a good fit for what was trying to be changed. So anyways, I just kind of went back to what I was doing. I got to work with my dad in the summer a little bit, but I also went and played summer ball in the NECBL with the Ocean State Waves my freshman year. And that was a really big learning experience for me. It was kind of my first exposure to some very good pitching with the wood bat. So that summer, and then the next summer, my sophomore summer, when I got to go to the Cape, it was a big experience for me, especially the Cape.
Well, speaking of your sophomore year, we're all MAC team, 369 batting average, 22 runs scored, 52 hits, 42 RBIs, slugging percentage at 539, 12 doubles, 4 home runs. You talked about, maybe the summer really
Take
helped
that for
you.
data.
I mean, you think it's the experience? Did you have a different approach due to that experience in the summer? What led you to that success? Or was it Dad working with you, man?
Yeah, I give Dad some credit there. He knows my swing just as good as anybody, and he just, whenever I get in my head a little bit, he'll kind of set me straight. But I don't know, man. I think I worked really hard that summer and building some strength. I think I got a lot stronger. I think once you get that freshman year under your belt, it's kind of a comfort thing. When I got back on campus for the second time, I just felt way more comfortable. Like it was kind of my time to go, because freshman year I think it was 13 seniors. So it was like their show. It was just, it was all about them, which is how it should be, but just came back feeling a lot more comfortable than I did the first year.
I didn't even mention the one alumni that did go to Kent State, Nick Saban.
Yeah, there you go.
Up, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
You can't like that guy though. Arkansas guy now. I got a question for you, man. Do you have like a personal vendetta against Bowling Green?
I don't really like the field. I'll give
Two
you that.
different occasions. You grand slams, man. They got, is it like T-work out there, Michael? They got trash pitchers. What's going on?
I don't know, man. I honestly think it has something to do with the field surroundings. So they have green pine trees all the way around the field, and I always felt like I saw the ball really well there.
Well, that's I would say so. So junior year, we had COVID, and we know, you get started. Not really. So we're going to jump to senior year. You played and started 25 games, all 25 starts at catcher. The slash was 337, 439, 640, 6 home runs, 22 RBIs, 30 runs. Looking back,
take that for data.
Looking back on your time at Kent State, what was your favorite part of being there besides being 45 minutes from home?
Definitely two things. Number one, the guys. I still talk to a lot of guys there, and that's still my best friends. I spent 4 years with those guys, and I'm still super close with them. But winning the conference freshman year and getting a chance to go to the regional was special. I didn't really have any exposure to that. Like, for example, a charter flight, I was like in heaven. So I get to Arkansas, and that's like, everybody's mad if we don't get one of those. So it was definitely a different world there, man. If you lose in the tournament, you're out. You don't get a chance to go to the regional. And we did it my first year there. So it was really fun.
So we all know that you end up in Arkansas. Tell us how that came about and why did you choose Arkansas?
Yeah. So senior year, I didn't play very many games, like you said. I tweaked my hamstring pretty bad. I was supposed to be out 8 weeks. Told the coach, look, I'm going to try to come back after 4 and just finish out my career here. And he was basically didn't want me to, in a way. So I said, all right, fine. I'm going to get in the portal and use my last year somewhere else. I said, all right, go for it. So I did. And I had a lot of teams. I think it was 34 teams reached out in the portal. And I narrowed it down to about 4 at the time. I think it was Kentucky, Houston, Clemson, and there was another one. Anyways, I was about 2 days away from committing to Kentucky, and obviously followed baseball really close that year. And I went to dinner with my girlfriend actually in Kent, and I just jokingly said, like, hey, they must have forgot to send me that email from Arkansas, just like messing with her. And I'm not joking. 10, 15 minutes later, I look at my phone and I had an email from Coach Thompson, and she said she'd never forget my face. So it was a super cool experience. And yeah, once I got that email, I responded right away. The next day I was on a FaceTime with Coach Van Horn, and yeah, that was that.
Let's talk about that emotion for a second before you go to gym. I mean, is it like it's an emotional moment? You can tell us, man. We're all friends here. Do you have some tears, man?
I wouldn't say tears, but it just kind of made my stomach drop. I was so excited because in 2018, we actually came to play Arkansas when I was with Kent. And that was the first time that I got to experience SEC baseball and what it was like, and calling the Hogs. And it was just wild. So
let me ask you one more question. Were you more nervous when you got that email or when you were on a call with Dave Van Horn?
Probably the call, just because everybody he's just a legend in college baseball. So it was kind of surreal to get to talk to him face to face.
Look, all I know is Michael needs to teach a class on being humble, because he's done it all episode. He casually just dropped 34 teams, reached out to him, and like didn't say it with any kind of like, brag to it. It's just, kind of narrow. We've had guys that transfer over, they'll say it's 3 or 4 teams. He said 34, so no big deal. But you talk about being 45 minutes from home, and now you're going to Fayetteville. It's not 45 minutes from home. And then you also talked about the charter jets and everything. And I've seen we've all seen the facilities in Arkansas. Man, maybe second to none. So what is that culture shock like, man, when you get there?
Hold on, Jim. I can answer that for him because he might be real humble, but I'm going to give you the truth. Tell me, based on this clip, Michael, how you felt.
Walks and strikeouts with the Golden Flag. 64 walks in his time there at Kent. 58 strikeouts. Turner throws one to right. This ball's off the building. It's gone. His first right run.
There must have been pine trees. You could see it.
I mean, he hit it off the building, Jim. How do you think culture shock? No, man. He was just the gear never left. And it just stayed in from Kent State. He just rolled right into Fayetteville doing his thing, man.
Heck yeah.
I don't know, man. I seen the video when he first walked into the practice facilities, and I saw the look on his face, and then we had to talk about it, and it's just unreal.
It is, man. The facilities there are special. Everybody asked me what the biggest difference was between Kent and there, and there's a lot of things, man, from
charter flights.
Yeah, that's a good example of starters. But on the field, it's more of like, for me, I feel the pitchers, every pitch that they threw was like 5 or 6 mile an hour harder. Whether it was better or not, it probably was a little bit better in every category, but there's probably maybe 1 or 2 pitchers from each team in the MAC that can compete in the SEC. It's a big jump. So I think the Cape really prepared me for that. Most of the guys in the SEC go play there, and not a lot of guys from the MAC get to go play there. So I was really happy with that experience. But yeah, like you said, the facilities there are special, man. You can get as good as you want to get. You have every opportunity to do anything you need to do. And going from what we had at Kent to there it was like a dream, really.
Yeah, no doubt. So the question I got for you before we get into like, hitting and into the season, you knew the arm talent that was at Arkansas, and you talked about the Cape and obviously Kent and everything, but man, knowing the arms that you were going to be catching for at Arkansas, how excited were you to be able to catch for guys like that?
Yeah, man, I was pumped. When I was talking to Coach Van Horn on that Zoom, one thing that he said that stuck with me was that if you can play in the SEC and have success, you can successfully play in Double A at the same time. So that kind of stuck with me. I was like, well, I mean, dang, that's a pretty big jump from the MAC. So yeah, going into it, I didn't really know what to expect. I knew they had some real arms. Like everybody knows Kevin Cobb, so obviously he didn't come back, but the roster's so deep, man. The main difference for me was from Kent, we had 35 guys on the roster. So when I got there in the fall at Arkansas, we had 36 pitchers on the roster. So it was one of the hardest things about going there for somebody that's never experienced it for me was trying to get to know every pitcher in such a short amount of time. So in the fall, you're trying to earn a spot. So I'm doing everything I can to kind of get to know these guys as fast as possible, get to know what they throw, what they like to throw in certain counts. And it was hard for a little bit, but once you start talking to these guys and the way they go about their business, it slows the game down a little bit just because everybody works so hard. And like say I call a curveball and I'm expecting it to break a lot. And it's like you just get used to things like that if you catch a bullpen or two with each guy. So when I got there, I kind of set the tone really early. I was like, look, I'll come catch whenever you guys want me to. Just give me a call. I don't care what time it is, and I'll be there. So I think that definitely carried over the season.
Mike,
So,
Mike, I gotta ask though, man, because I've listened to a lot of post game conferences, and it always inevitably ends up being you and one of the guys that pitched that night, and they talk to the pitcher, and the pitcher's always like, well, Michael just had he called the right pitches. I just threw what he told me to throw. Are you calling the game, or is it a conversation inning by inning that you're having with the coach as far as how you want to approach different batters, or is it strictly on you?
Yeah. So I called throughout the year, I would say 99% of every pitch thrown. Like I was talking about in the fall, I think it's a tryout for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a returner or not. So they got comfortable. I called all the pitches at Kent as well. So Coach Hobbs in the fall let me call all the pitches, and I thought it went pretty well. So I think that that built that trust up, and he let me do it most of the time throughout the year. But yeah, we had that little earpiece in. So whenever it was like a really big situation, and I was a little uneasy about the pitch that was called, I would just look over there and like most of the time he would just say, go with whatever you want right here. Or maybe he had an idea like he's fastball outside or something simple. But yeah, I called most of them.
So let me pose a question back at you, Daniel, because Daniel was a college pitcher himself, Michael. A lot of we watch a lot of these games. The majority of guys don't get to call the pitches, but Logan Tanner is obviously another one like Michael Turner. What does it say, Daniel, like to know that you have a catcher back there that is that good that he can make the calls?
I mean, I think when you break it down even further, when you have that kind of trust in somebody, like that's a big time key when you know that you're not back there having, to stand on the mound, wait for the relay of the call from the dugout, and the dugout's looking at notes, but like you as a pitcher see things a little bit differently than the way it's written or in stats. But having a guy like a catcher that can call your game is huge, man. It's trust more than anything, and it's the ability for putting your faith in one another. The two guys that are making it happen, as opposed to some outside party. Not that the coach is not a key integral part of the game, but like he's really like not the person delivering the pitch. So it's kind of cool. I'm impressed. That you're able to quickly get behind the dish, and like you're calling pitches at Kent State, and now it just carried over. So man, like I tip my hat to you, Michael. That's big stuff, dude.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I got a question, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but the few catchers that we have had on have all had a pitcher on the staff that, not like in a negative way, but like in a talent way, that is the hardest one for them to catch. They say they got to make sure they're extra ready when somebody's pitching. Is there a guy on the staff that's like that for you?
In a way, yeah. I don't want to make anybody look bad by saying it, but I think Wiggins would be that guy for me, just because he has such an electric arm that if you call fastball outside and he paints fastball inside on accident, it's hard to get there, man. He's throwing 100 mile an hour. So you got to be locked in with him. The he's a stud, man. He's really fun to catch, but you definitely got to be locked in.
I don't think you throw anybody under the bus when you make sure to say they throw 100 miles an hour. I think they'll be all right. But getting to the hitting now, you batted 323 on the season, 9 home runs, 53 RBIs, 40 runs, and then from a catching standpoint, you threw out 13 guys still in base.
Take that for data.
So I mean, before we get into the season as a whole, but for your expectations of what you were hoping for at Arkansas individually to bring to the table, did you meet your expectations?
Yes and no. I think I feel like I've always been able to be a 300 hitter, but I mean, there's always room for improvement. So for me, I'm getting older, man. It's my 5th year in college baseball, so I expect myself to do that. Like when I was 18 at Kent and these guys were 23 and 24, I was like, yeah, you guys should be better than me. You're 4 years older, 5 years older. So, I mean, I just kind of put myself in those shoes and just expected that out of myself. And then prior to the tournament, I had a little funk. I was like, I don't know, maybe 0 for 20 or something or whatever it was. And I was getting hard on myself, and I just kind of got back to my roots real quick and ended up having a good postseason run. But yeah, I mean, yes and no.
Yeah, and so let's get to that. We are definitely not a show built around controversy, and so I don't want to go that route. What I want to do is I wanted to talk about to get in the thick of when Arkansas has one of the most amazing fan bases. That. I mean, literally, top 5 in my opinion. But the rental player stuff came out, like you said, you were struggling. What I want to do is, opposed to focusing on the negative side of it, how were you able to stay focused and be a professional and do your job and push that aside?
The fans here made it pretty easy, man. I actually it was Peyton Stovall who showed me that when it first came out on Twitter. And I was like, yeah, I mean, whatever. I just kind of blew it off. I kind of expected it when this many people watch the games, not everybody's going to like you and you can't please everyone. So I kind of just blew it off. And then it got to the point where I had to turn my phone off because Twitter was going crazy. I had so many people from Arkansas having my back. So it was really cool to see, man. The fans there are a different breed of passionate, and it's super fun to play for them. I mean, even the highs or lows, like you'll have a person here or there say something bad, but the 99% of them are they're the best, man. And it's not just baseball either. Like if you go to a football or basketball game, that place is crazy. So yeah, I was super happy to see that my last year.
And you said it best, because these two spend countless hours trying to tell me that there is way more good than bad. But if somebody talks about a guy that I know or we've had on the show or whatever, I'll like clap back and they're like, you're wasting your time. Like, just let him be an idiot. And they spend countless hours, and I still do it. So Mike, I don't know if I'll ever be fixed, but it is what it is.
Oh, I get it.
But a series I want to jump to start off with, I'm an LSU fan, and what y'all did to my beloved Tigers in Fayetteville wasn't very nice. And in game 2 of that series specifically, man, you teed off, dude. Like, so with LSU being the name that they are, and they were, I think ranked like in the around somewhere around like 16, 17 at the time, and they come into Baum Walker and y'all just dismiss them like that. What was that like?
Oh, it was fun, man. Early on in the season, we were playing some smaller name schools, and I was just kind of getting my first taste of Baum Walker and how it went on game day. And then the SEC came around, and it just hit a different level, man. We would be stretching 4 hours for the game, and the line's already 300 people deep. So it was super exciting, man, especially to get to play a team as famous as LSU. It was just, I don't know. I feel like I was even more locked in than I was early on in the season. Yeah, it was really fun.
So you talk about it being electric at Baum Walker. Just that first night game that's like sold out. Are you more nervous or excited because of that environment?
A little bit of both. I think. Well, I shouldn't even say nervous, man. In the fall, it was like we had the Fall World Series, and it was an inter squad, and we had 3,000 people there. So it was, you just get used to it really early on because they come to every. So the night games are definitely more exciting for me, man. If somebody gets a base hit or hits a home run, it's like you need earplugs at that place, man. It's wild. So it was definitely more exciting than nervous.
No doubt. So y'all have ups and downs, and ultimately those downs go in the SEC tourney and don't end up going the way y'all want. Y'all don't end up hosting like, the three of us were discussing all year. Obviously, with our predictions, we thought you would, be a host team. And so you don't, and you all ultimately are going to go to Stillwater. Do y'all have a little extra chip on your shoulder because you're not hosting, or does it not matter? You're ready to play wherever?
I wouldn't say a chip. I mean, maybe a little bit, but going into the postseason for me is just, it's time to go, man. It doesn't matter where you're playing. So we knew it was going to be a tough challenge going there, but once we got there, I thought it was really cool. That was one of my favorite stadiums we got to play at. So I don't know about a chip, but I will say that that was the most locked in I've seen us in probably the whole year.
So you said you liked their stadium. What was it like beating them in their stadium and advancing?
Oh my gosh, man. That was probably the most fun I had playing all year, to be honest with you. That regional, I don't know if it'll ever be topped, especially from the run scored perspective, man. It was like having an 8-run lead wasn't safe. So that place was electric. From the fans were great. Beating somebody in their home field like that's really hard to do. And it's also really hard to watch, seeing that heartbreak walking off the field when we beat them. So I feel for those guys, because I feel like Arkansas went through the same thing the year prior. So I was just happy to be on the other end of it.
Yeah, no doubt. So, you say that was your favorite moment, but as much as y'all had fun, you got to do it again, man. Super regionals, and this time in Chapel Hill, you've already been on the road, done it once. So, I mean, it's just business as usual, right?
Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't say it's more pressure. I personally think, and I still stick with this, if Oklahoma State beats us in that series, that they probably win the whole thing. I firmly believe that. I thought they were one of the best teams we played all year, and they were really hot at the time too. So we had to play some really good baseball to get out of there. And then we went to Carolina, and I think after beating them, our confidence just kind of shot through the roof. And you could just kind of tell when the game started, nobody was really nervous. It was just kind of lackadaisical a little bit, but still focused. But yeah, man, from pitch one throughout those two games, it just, even when we went down, I don't remember what it was, whatever, we walked it off. But when we went down prior to that, we were just talking to the dugout like everything was casual, like we weren't about to have to play a game three. So it was just a raging amount of confidence, and we just felt really good going into that series.
Yeah, I love the respect factor you have for each other. You say that about Oklahoma State, and last year, it's funny. The Mississippi State guys came on and said the same thing about Notre Dame. They were like, "That was the best team we played all the way through, even winning the championship." And they said, had they beaten us, we felt like they would have won it all. So that's saying a lot about Oklahoma State, and that's you keeping it real. So I like that. But my question on the UNC, when you win the back-to-back games to advance, because the last time we talked to a catcher that had a moment like that, when Mississippi State did punch their ticket, Logan Tanner talked about being on the bottom of the dog pile and how, while it was an amazing moment, he thought he might die. Did you have a similar situation?
No, I got lucky. So being around a couple dog piles at Kent, I learned the hard way, you don't want to be on the bottom. So I was probably the first one out of the dugout when we walked it off, but I was the last one to the pile just for that reason.
No doubt, no doubt. As a matter of fact, I'll make sure I was the very last one. I've seen guys that they're trying to fly low key, but I see it on the playback. I see the guys who make sure they're dead last on top.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
All right, so you get to Omaha. We've been sitting here talking about all being all business, but man, when you get to Omaha, when you get to that stage, you want to be able to take it in. And the fact that y'all had the second day game as well, obviously you have your practice. There's a parade on. Did you get a chance, man, to like just take it all in and for what it really is?
Yeah, so we got to the hotel and just kind of start winding down, and by winding down, I mean getting bags from Nike with all kinds of clothes and stuff in them. So it was wild, man. You hear stories about all the stuff you get and how people treat you, but I actually just walked out of the room by myself and walked all the way down the field and saw the sign where it was just welcome to Omaha or whatever. And it's just it's a wild feeling to get there, because it's something you work for like your whole life. So when it was the day before the practices started. They just had an open field, just kind of let you walk out there and do whatever. So I walked out there by myself and just kind of did a 360, man, and just sat there for a second, kind of took it in. Then I actually FaceTimed some of my buddies back home at one of my old roommates from Kent, and just kind of let him see it, just because everybody dreams about that, man. I just kind of almost wanted to show it off a little bit and be like, hey, look where I'm at right now. So it was really cool.
Absolutely. You got to be proud of them. I mean, that's where it all starts. Obviously, you want to win a championship, but it all starts with getting to Omaha. When you get there, man, it's obviously got to be surreal. So, let's talk about a couple games that you had that were huge, man. Stanford, you were 4 for 6, and Auburn, you were 3 for 4, man. You obviously won both those games. We'll talk about those before we get into Ole Miss, man. Just how much fun were you having? And obviously you're seeing the ball well. Your team wins. How much fun were those games?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. Like I said, the confidence thing carried over, and Stanford got us early on in the season, and they were pretty chirpy in that game, so we didn't forget about that, and I think it carried over a little bit, and they got the message. So yeah, that was fun to be a part of. But seeing the ball well, man, I'll be honest with you, it's kind of hard to see at that park. The batter's eye there is just, it's really narrow, and as a lefty, I face mostly righties, so their arm and their release point was not on the batter's eye, and it was hard to pick up a little bit. So it took me that first game. It was definitely something to get used to. You just couldn't see it as good, but I mean, I'm not making excuses or anything, but it definitely was not easy to see at that park for sure.
Yeah, no, you're not the first one to say it. I actually got a bone to pick with y'all. I mean, I was sitting with the Battles family and the Tigers, and that 17 runs that y'all decided to tack on, I was ready to go like tailgate between games, get some food, get some drinks. And like that game was never going to end because y'all wouldn't stop scoring, bro. Like I was like, all right, man, enough's enough. Like y'all got this game under wraps. And like, of course, all the Arkansas fans will love it. And I'm like, man, nah, like I'm trying to get out of here.
Yeah, I get it. That was fun though, man. It's not that easy to score that many runs. It was really fun to be a part of that.
No doubt. But ultimately you got to go up against Ole Miss. You lose the first one, you come back and win the second one. But I want to talk about, going back to, because you're the catcher, Connor Nolan's performances, obviously he pitched amazing against Stanford as well. But man, just that dude was that dude. Like, I mean, he was so amazing. Like as a catcher, man, how awesome was it just watching him be in the zone like that?
It was super cool. He works his butt off, man. He's a dog. I mean that too. He'll compete every pitch for you, regardless of how it's going on his end. He's going to give you everything he's got. And I'm not just saying that because I'm supposed to, but I mean it. He's the guy you want on the mound in any big time situation. And everybody got a glimpse of that, man. I saw it from the fall early on all the way through the year. So, and he was a ball magnet too, which was really fun to watch him getting pegged about 3 of them. And he made a play on all 3. So it was cool to see. But yeah, man, if those balls hit a different pitcher, it might put him out for the game. He didn't get hit in any real good spots to get hit. So he was pretty beat up, and you would have never known.
Randy, let me ask you, man, if Daniel gets hit by some pitches or by some hits like that, you think he's going to field it, or you think he's going to limp off?
At this age?
No, not this.
He might just fall.
No, in his prime. You think,
oh no.
You think Daniel's
tough guy.
OG like that?
OG, tough guy. Right now, he might just never get up.
No, I just lay there. I reach my hands up like basketball and soccer players do.
Oh,
just pick me up, please.
Shot.
I feel you. All right, so to flip the script, talking about Connor's dominance, Brady Tiger, he lives in the same town as me. He's like a little brother. He's a 3-time guest of our show. He comes out there, hits a couple batters. You're a senior leader. What do you say to him in the moment? What do y'all guys say to him after the game? Letting him know, especially because he may be needed that next day. And we know his stuff's electric, and we know what he can do. So what do you say to him as a leader?
I just went out there and told him how it was, that he was one of the best pitchers in the country. And I feel that way just from catching the first bullpen I ever caught for him, man. I knew he was going to be electric, and he's still new, man. He's only threw like 2 pitches the whole year, and he's got a very, very solid 5-pitch arsenal. So I think when he becomes a starter next year, he's going to show some people what he's got, man, because in the roles that he came in, his curveball's so good they can't hit it, so he can throw it every pitch. But as a starter, you're going to need to develop a little bit more, and he's got it. So I'm excited to see. But in that situation, man, it was just try to keep him calm. I know it's a really big stage in Omaha and everything like that. But after the game, I texted him actually and said, man, you're a dog. Just keep your mind right. We're going to need you tomorrow or the next day. So I don't know. Just try to keep him as positive as possible. And I get it, man. I've never been in that situation as a freshman, but I can understand where he's coming from.
You know, and I texted myself, and he said he was chomping at the bit, hoping for an opportunity the next day. I've known him for a while. He's not scared of the moment. That's the thing. You know, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, the freshman got scared, choked." You could make that argument easily. That's what it looks like, but I don't. I mean, you know how it is. Sometimes you don't have your stuff, man. You don't have your best stuff, and I think that's just might have been the case. But to flip to the other side, because you seem like such a straight shooter, man. Our last guest was Dylan DeLucia. That's that same night against Nolan. I mean, he was absolutely electric. Like, you had to face him batting like. Was he just? It was just one of those games, man. He was just that good.
I've gotten this question a few times, and I'm not taking anything away from him. He is an absolute stud. And the main thing that I saw as a batter was that he had a complete 4-pitch mix to both sides of the plate, and he was throwing all 4 wherever he wanted it. And I don't care who it is. If you can do that on a day, you're going to dominate the whole game. So I honestly compared him to Will McIntyre a few times. It's like nothing that's completely overpowering, but it doesn't have to be if you're going to throw it exactly where you want it every pitch. So it really reminded me of how Will got deep into games just because he could locate everything. And early on in the counts, I felt like I was down 0-2 every time I got up there. So that makes it hard on a hitter, man.
Yeah, no doubt. So, my final question, and I'll turn you over, man. Obviously the ride in Omaha ends, but you went to Arkansas, you still got there. You had major success, I feel, individually, so final thoughts, man, on your 1 year with Arkansas.
Just super thankful, man. I would have never thought that I would have been there 3 or 4 years ago. So just getting to be a part of it was a great experience for me. And I really think that it's going to help me at the next level. And I mean that, I don't think I'm going to be surprised by anything, especially talent wise. Like, I feel like if we took our team right now and put them in single A or high A or double A, that we could compete. I really, truly believe that. I think we have the arms to do it, the best to do it from top to bottom. So super, like I said, super thankful to be there. Not just the baseball team, but everybody around it, from the nutritionist to the fans to everyone there, man. They go out of their way to help everybody there. And it's a super enjoyable experience.
So, Michael, before we get into what's next, I got a quick little clip for you. I just want you to hear and talk me through it.
Yeah, I think I can play those 3 positions pretty well. I'm still super comfortable with the corners. I think left-handed hitting catcher is still something that people look for. So, I'm just looking for that chance at this point. It's been my dream my whole life. That's what I've worked for every day. So if I'm lucky enough to get that chance.
So that's obviously you talking about the next level, talking about pro baseball projection. So, that was a bit ago. Obviously today we're, about a week away from draft.
Mhm.
What do you look at as far as projections for yourself at the next level?
I still agree with the statements I made, man. I think a left-handed hitting catcher, with my experience at this point, especially from the calling the game aspect of things to all the arms that I've caught, I think that's going to carry over. I like, even in that video, I didn't get to play corners a whole lot this year. Early on I did, but I still feel really comfortable there. I've done it most of my life. So I don't know if they need a guy that can play multiple positions and hit a little bit, I'm their guy.
Do you think it's beneficial or more of a hindrance at the next level to know that you can play multiple positions? Or, I guess it's got to be a plus, right?
I would think so. Like, my thought is maybe early on I'm a backup catcher. If I get called up, say I'm a backup catcher for a while, and third baseman gets hurt, maybe I need to go fill in for him. So I think it's always a positive having guys that can play multiple positions, not just catcher, but maybe the shortstop can play center field or anything like that. So even growing up, I feel like people are starting to zone in on one position. Like we said about multiple sports, I think it's still good to play multiple positions. And the more positions you play, I feel like the more attractive you are as a prospect.
Absolutely. I if I was making the call, I would draft you before everybody. Number one.
Well, we saw that multiple position thing with in off the bench guest Austin Riley. He was not a third baseman growing up. He was a pitcher, played some infield, and then when he got to Atlanta, he's playing outfield. And now obviously now it looks kind of silly because he's a stud on third base, maybe a Gold Glover. MVP conversation. So yeah, I think it's definitely. But Michael, look, we've had a lot of fun. It's been some great stories. We're gonna play a game. It's called This or That. There's very simple rules, Michael. You can't say neither, and you can't say both. You got to pick one or the other.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm gonna give you some softballs to start out. Then we're gonna get into the meat of the potatoes of this thing.
Okay.
All right, what do you like better, getting hits or throwing someone out?
Throwing someone out.
All right, to follow that up, one person that you've thrown out. Who's your favorite?
Oof.
There's been so many.
That dude at the camp that he threw out
No,
twice.
no,
Yeah.
I think it's got. I mean, that's definitely when you came on the map. But was there anybody this year in the SEC? Since you said you jumped up kind of in the competition level. Was there anybody that you're like, hell yeah?
Caden Wallace and fall ball.
His own teammate.
I like it. I like
Was
it.
there anybody that did like a delay steal or something, and you just you didn't throw the ball, and you're just like, damn,
No, I didn't.
that dude got me.
No, I wasn't. The one
Let
I
it
went
fly.
was Bradfield, but he's too quick, man. I couldn't get him.
Yeah, if
He
he steals
is
on
so
you, we don't.
fast.
Yeah, we don't hold that against you at all.
As long as Tim Elko don't steal a base on you, we're good.
Yeah, we'll handle that one.
Absolutely. All right. So this is we asked this question. We've asked it a lot. You are the last person we're going to ask this question to on the show. You got to end the debate, Michael.
Okay.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
I don't think so.
Thank you. All right. The debate is over. The debate is over.
There's no thinking about it. I mean, it's not.
Look, I had like 5 or
Fact.
6 out of like 40. I mean, the odds were definitely not stacked in my favor, but I had like 5 or 6 join me on this.
Yeah, you get some of them weirdos once in a while.
There you
Oh,
go.
you called me a
Michael.
weirdo.
There you go. All right. So now we're going to get into, would you rather attend the party or host the party?
Oof. Probably a 10. Just cleanup sucks.
Absolutely. I'm completely agree with you. That's what my wife does a great job. All right. So would you rather be smart or be funny?
That's a tough one, man. Probably smart because I feel like there's more money to be made on that side.
That's true. And if you're smart, you can probably figure out how to be funny, right?
Yeah.
Anytime someone talks about making money, they speak to your heart, Randy.
I know. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So would you rather go to any concert or any sporting event?
Sporting event for sure.
All right. What sporting event? Like which sport? And what are we doing? We're talking like World Series, Super Bowl, World Cup. What are we talking?
I would say the World Series or an MLB home run derby.
You look, Albert Pujols is going to be in it this year, man. I think you could probably snag some tickets.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Absolutely. He might not hit any out, but that's not what we're here for. No, I love Pujols. All right. So the next one is massive success by accident or modest success on purpose.
Probably modest success on purpose.
You know, originally when we started doing this question, I thought the same thing. And then I listened to a podcast, and the end goal is to have massive success, right?
Yeah.
So now I don't care how I get there. I heard it asked like, would you rather be given 100 million or earn 10 million? Well, don't be a dummy and take 90 million less.
Yeah, that's fair. If you're doing that aspect, I have to agree with
He's
you.
a hardworking guy, Randy. Don't take that away.
Absolutely. No, you said it. You answered the way I thought you would just because of the whole episode. You've been super humble, and I completely expected it. I just know that you're going to have massive success, and you've worked hard for it.
Thanks,
All right.
man.
Listen, now we're going to get into this. Would you rather be a hero or a villain?
Hero.
Who is your favorite superhero?
Oh, I don't know, man. I was a big
Batman went to Kent State.
I was
That's
I
true.
was a Spider-Man fan growing up. Does that count?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll go with that one.
All right, man. This is the last one, and this is the staple question. We are going to judge you on how you answer this question.
All right.
Would you rather do 5 years in prison or 10 years in a coma?
5 years in prison.
Michael, you've been so honest with us this whole episode, and right here at the end, you're going to tell us you want to spend hard time in the pen, bro?
I think I would rather, regardless of well, I shouldn't say regardless of why, but I would rather spend 5 years there than waste 10 years.
I respect it. And plus, you
We-
could probably work on your craft.
Yeah. You work out, get strong.
I mean, Michael, I'll tell you like I tell every guest that answers the question that way. I'm 37 and I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. I've never been to jail, but I know that I would not be good at it. But what I do know is I'm good at sleeping and napping. So I'll take that coma. I'll take that 10-year nap. And when I wake up, I'll figure it all out, man, because I ain't going to jail.
That's fair. That's fair.
So, Michael, man, before we let you run, anything you want to plug or promote?
Ugh, not really. Am I missing something? Should I be?
I mean, I got it for you, man. I got it. Everybody is thrown off by the plug and promote, but let me do this for you. If y'all want to know more about Michael Turner, the man, the athlete, the character, just the overall good dude, you can follow him on Instagram. That's at mbturner10. You'll see baseball, you'll see family, you'll see life, and hopefully this time next week we'll see pro baseball player. Michael, my man, we wish you nothing but the best. Anything that we can do for you, let us know. But hey, best of luck, dude.
Hey, man. Thank you guys for having me. This was awesome. I really appreciate it.
All right, that's Michael Turner, everybody. We're going to take a break. We're going to plug our sponsors so we can pay them bills. When we come back, we got headlines.